Folks, good evening and welcome to the Marshfield School Committee meeting on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. Mrs. Pazerski, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Costello.
Here.
Mrs. Brady.
Here.
Mrs. Dargan.
Here.
Mr. Greer.
Here.
Ms. Stetson.
Ms. Stetson cannot join us tonight. If you could please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could please also join me for the Peace Builders Pledge. I am a peace builder. I pledge to praise people, to give up put downs, to seek wise people, to notice and speak up about hurts I've caused, to right wrongs, to help others. I will build peace at home, at school, and in my community each day. Under the open meeting law, I'm informing the public that this meeting is being videotaped by Marshfield Community Media. If anybody else is taping this meeting, either audio or video, please notify us of such at this time. Seeing none, before we begin, if we could just open the door so we are in compliance with the open meeting law, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That wasn't his fault.
No, that's totally fine. I get it. I totally get it, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks for getting us the flagging here, too. Thank you. We're going to move some things around the agenda. We're going to do our spotlight on excellence first, and then I'm going to take some agenda items out of order, and then we'll do the student representatives, and then we'll have the information at the very end of the meeting. So I'll turn it on over to you to introduce our spotlight on excellence here at the awesome Governor Winslow School.
And I will quickly turn to our hostess, Ms. Hubbard, our principal here at the Governor Winslow School, who soon will probably be up in a roof pretty soon, isn't that coming up in about a couple weeks?
The spring bunny comes the Friday before the April vacation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But she has a great program going on here that has been run with some of our talented staff and students, and she just wants to talk a little bit about Be True and then introduce the folks that are making it happen in the classroom and around the school.
Sure, so welcome to everybody. We have some special guests that we'll talk about later. Right, girls? There's so many wonderful things happening here at Governor Winslow, but what's really special about this spotlight on excellence is it stemmed from the thought of a teacher. And for us, when we're teaching in the classrooms, our students, we try to take some hints and sparks from their ideas. And Mark Talachi came to me about just over a year ago with an idea that has absolutely taken off. And we start with a Peace Builder program. It morphed into our spot cards and our spot emotions with our children. And he's he's going to share an idea that started in his classroom that took that to a more actionable level. And then this year, his colleagues at 4th grade have jumped on board, and hopefully next year it'll be the entire school. So without further ado, Mr. Mark Talachi, a 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Backlund, a 4th grade teacher, and Miss Donlin, 4th grade team, who are going to share some wonderful things with you tonight. So it's all yours, Mr. Talachi.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks for having us. So excited to present this, and I'm only nervous because if I don't do it justice, because the kids are so over the moon about this. So I want to make sure that I can report back to them and tell them we did a great job. But it is, in fact, we called it Be True, and again, that's not my original idea. Actually, it stems from some conversations I had with Sean Fitzgerald, who's sitting over there, who was really the inspiration behind this, and his students, they were from Dorchester, the Murphy School. But Be True stands for being altruistic, and it's a big word. And it's really cool to hear some of our 4th graders talking about it, and now some of our 5th graders also. And then when we visited 2nd graders and did some activities with that, they're using that word. And then our motto is the we, not me. All right, so the theory behind this is, again, altruism. We break it down for the kids. It's doing things for their community, whether it's the school or the town of Marshfield or just simply their community of their classroom. And it's projects with a purpose. So, for instance, like I said, with Sean and I, Sean's been doing this for, I think, 5 years. I want to do that justice, give or take. And every year, he's always talked to me about it. And I finally was ready to take the leap last year with, again, Mrs. Hubbard's blessing and motivation, and, a little applauding there too. So that was nice.
It was a kick.
Yes, I was going PC for it. But it literally takes, less than an hour. And I feel and we feel that the benefits are more than just the hour that you spend on it. We took like the spot cards, which is highlighting so many great deeds in our schools. And I just felt like to bring more awareness to the students and seeing what all the positives are in the school, that this program is like perfect for that. Hopefully, next year we take it to the next level and we start talking to the other grades and things like that, because already, we walk through the halls, teachers, custodians, administrators, parents, kids in other classes are always asking us, what are you doing there? So clearly, it's working a little bit, and there's excitement and a buzz in our schools.
All right, so the first thing I wanted to touch upon a little bit was the kind of the science and the psychology behind doing these selfless acts of service. So there are studies that show that an increased level of dopamine and endorphins are caused by these selfless acts of kindness and service. Having that positive influence on others, I've seen it in my own students. I've seen it in the students that they're working with in other grades. It's great, and it kind of just creates that positive environment across all the grades. I have a quick little anecdote about this. When we did our buddy bookmarks in second grade, our former librarian was helping in that classroom that day, and she came up to me after and was like almost brought to tears over how happy one of her former students was, and she was very quiet, very introverted, and our librarian was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen her this happy in 4 years of school. So it was just kind of goes to show how it can help the students that are doing these acts and also the students that are receiving them.
And we would love to have some of the students come here, but instead we had them videotape some candy remarks and things like that.
Pressure, Mr. McNulty.
Hello, my name is Jackson Tam, and I was one of the students Mr. Kalachi had last year. Be True was an amazing thing we did, and everyone here should be altruistic. The card that's behind me is one that I made. The monster buddies we will be making soon will be given to the younger kids. It was really fun when I did that last year, and I hope you love it too. Thank you.
So another example besides the cards that that student spoke about were we did buddy bookmarks, which was really cool. We each met with one of the second grade classrooms. Each of our students were paired up with a second grade student. They had prior to this made bookmarks. And those bookmarks weren't like the regular rectangular bookmarks. They were the ones that went on the corners, and they could decorate them as monsters or animals or anything fun. And they made these bookmarks, and then we went to the second grade classrooms. The second grade students chose a book out of their book bin, and our fourth grade students read that book to them and presented them with this buddy bookmark, which was really, really special. I know a lot of the second grade students were so excited to receive them, and some of the second grade teachers have mentioned that they still have them. They're just little pieces of paper that fit on the top corner of their pages, but they're so special that they've kept them and used them, and not only did it encourage them to read more, but when my students see their bookmark buddies in the hallway, they always wave or give them a fist bump, things like that. It created this really nice relationship between a fourth grader and a second grader. And the second graders, prior to us arriving, had absolutely no idea what altruism was. but the fourth graders were able to explain it prior to getting together. They explained it to the second grade students so that when we left, the second grade students then knew what altruism was and how beneficial it is for, you know, doing things for others and not expecting anything in return. So it's just a win-win situation all around. So.
Right here. All right.
Hi, my name is JMO.
And my name is Liv, and we love
Be
Be
True.
True.
It's so good. It's full of altruistic people, and it's just so good.
And we love to we make little bookmarks for our younger kids. We get to make new friends with them every day.
I got to read with a boy named Isaac, Magic Tree House.
And I got to read with a girl named Chloe, a word diary.
Come on. I was gonna say so many great things. But what's really cool about that video is we did the bookmarks in I think late September maybe. And the fact that they still remember their buddy's name in the book that they read, like, that just means that that moment really stuck. All right, I'm back up. So actually we put some on your table there, so feel free to fight over them. Another one of our activities that we did was we made rocks and painted rocks. But before we did that, the kids had to brainstorm like the qualities of a rock, or what a rock means. And some of the things they came up with was wisdom, strength, stability, patience, time. Rocks are there for so long, and they're always with us, and they're changing constantly, and things like that. So they came up with words that symbolized what a rock was. And then they got to pick somebody in their community, our school community we did first, and they got to paint and design a rock. And what was cool was our art teacher came down, Ms. Chevalier, and she helped us with these painting pens and designed the rocks with the kids. And then also for a writing aspect to it, they wrote a letter to their particular person about all the qualities and the reasons why they chose them as their rock at school. And it was so cool. We got to deliver them. Last year we delivered them towards the holidays. And it's really cool. I got to go on a bus and present one to a bus driver that I think scared her to death. She was wondering who I was and why I was there. But, and again, we presented them, and there's no names on it or anything like that, so the teachers are all like, where did this come from? And weeks after that, we got all these return letters. Like, this was so thoughtful, and it's just like a perfect time. It's the holiday time, so you're already in that celebratory mood, but also, it's a long winter around here, so just those little acts of kindness, again, meant a lot to our teachers, our custodians, our bus drivers, and things like that. One of the students even wrote to a friend in another classroom that just kind of was always with him through some of the tough times that he was saying that he was having. And then here's some pictures of, outside of our classroom, we have Be the Rock, and all the kids do a color rock, and we pieced it up on against the wall. Don't worry, it comes off this week. And so, and then it's really cool, like, I was just walking in here, and our librarian has a few of the rocks that the kids made displayed. The ones you got, my kids stayed in for recess. And I told them not to, but they were like, it was cold anyways, don't worry. And so they painted them and designed them for you guys.
And they were so proud. They wanted to show
They really-
everybody.
We'll have to take a picture with them.
Yeah.
We will do
You
that.
can keep them too.
Oh, perfect. I love that.
For a price.
Yeah.
I think we have some Motley Crue fans because they have the dot over the U.
Oh, yeah.
Those of you that might have listened to them back in the day.
And then some of the teachers had some of the ones they got last year too, which was kind of cool.
Hi, I'm Emma.
And I'm Emerson.
We're talking about Be True. Be True means to be altruistic. It's being kind without being asked.
Be True. For this project in Be True, we are making rocks that symbolizes somebody who is important in our life.
Not only rocks, but we also gave them letters to tell them how kind they are and nice to other people.
This is why Be True is important to us.
They all had great endings that I cut off. I got nervous. I didn't know what they were gonna say next. Couple more, sorry. This one you also have in front of us, and actually the girl on the right, Mackenzie, she allowed me to make copies of her Be True cards, which you have in front of you. So again, these are inspired by our spot cards. So spot cards, quickly, are cards given out by a teacher to a student or another teacher, or a custodian or a bus driver, cafeteria worker, when they see something above and beyond being done. And the kids get really excited, I get really excited. So it's a really great thing that our school does. And so that was kind of like our inspiration to really have these at our school. And so the best part about this is it's student driven. It's not given by an adult, it's given by the kids. And so it just makes them so much more aware of what's going on in their own building. And we talk a lot about, like, the kids will be like, I saw a student do this. And we're like, that's awesome. But even simple things where, you know, you walk in the hall and you see that jacket in the middle and you're like, what? The kids, like, I swear, they're like, and they move it to the side or stuff like that. So simple acts that we see, and then big acts the kids are witnessing around their class, school. The other thing, it improves their interpersonal skills, because they literally have to go up to a kid and say, you know, I'll do this, Miss McNulty, you are running that video better than anyone I've ever seen. You know, so they have to talk, and then once they give them the card and explain why, the kids write their names on the back, they bring them back to our school, drop them in a little basket of some sort, and then at the end of the month we pick out one winner at our school, and our kids design some little basket to present to them. And then also, as you can see, if you look at some of these, they're very witty. So the technology skills, so again, when I said projects with a purpose, it's not like we're just, you know, taking time out of our day. It really has so much benefit, not only within the kids, but also their like skills like this. So.
My name is Ruth, and this is Mackenzie. And we, in our class, we are doing a program called Be True. Be True means to do stuff without being asked, which is also called altruism. This is one of the examples that we made that we're going to give out to kids. It's called a Be True card, and Be True cards are basically like little spot cards. But you give them out to kids, adults, anyone in the school community, and Mackenzie's here to talk about them. Fun that we get to make all of this, and it makes me feel happy when other people are happy. And these cards, at the end of each month, they are going to be put into a basket or a box or something, and we're going to pull them out. And then the person that got the card, you write their name on the back. And if you're the person that got that card and your name is on the back, then you get a prize designed by us. Bye!
Yeah, and so this particular activity, they were, you know, again, we started last week. Some of these kids came back this week and had 20 cards done. And I did that all over the weekend, and we never like say you have to do something, but they just did it, and they're super excited about presenting these things. And again, Mackenzie was very excited that I was using her cards. So, they're almost there. Alright, so another cool part about this. So Marshfield does so many things amazing. Alright? And, you know, altruism is something that I think our community and our town does a great job of. I mean, the school committee, I mean, it's kind of like your deal, right? You do this because you're bettering everything in our district. We have the grants that we run, sorry. I mean, that's rooted in altruism. You know, they do it for us. So, with these connections that the kids are making at this age and seeing all the things that all our adults and other students are doing and how great our community is, in this. I think by starting it at our grade level, it's inspiring them to be altruistic when they get older. So part of the connections here is, sorry, this is just a good one. So. All right, we have like inspiration and support from our local teachers. Miss Girardi at our school, and I wish you could have made it tonight, but amazing. She does so much for our school, but every once in a while I'll get a video or a note or something like, check this out for your program. And one of the ones she sent us was this orange vest. And again, we're not going to play it. It's long, and I've already taken up too much of your time. And, Mr. Bacon's here, so he's the real big deal today. Sorry. And so that we put on here so you can just watch it at your leisure. But we watched it in our class. It was sent by Miss Yardi. Mrs. Hubbard thought it was so great that she shared it with our entire school. My kids, we always have an end of the day song, and this is one of the ones that they ask for all the time. The middle, again, back to Sean Fitzgerald, who really deserves most of this credit. He works at the Murphy School up in Dorchester, and they are such an inspiration. I often talk to my students about his kids and his students, and we have plans for like Zooms and things like that so that they can finally meet each other. But his class fundraised money to supply our entire 4th grade, including teachers, these shirts, which you saw all our kids wearing them. And we wear them every Friday, as just a support and solidarity, and like we, are kind of just, when we walk down the hallways and all the kids are like, what's that? They're curious and they want to know more about it. And then finally, our right, I'm sure you know this person, but our community members, Alaric has been fantastic. If you see the stickers out in front of you, we took Sean's design and she was able to provide those for us. Again, just out of the goodness of our heart, and I feel like, as more people find out about this, they're going to want to be a part of it too. So, lots and lots of thank yous are there. I hope I didn't forget anyone. And I think this is the last one. It is. So what do we think of for the future of this? I mean, Mrs. Hubbard has been such a great support. I mean, she really motivates us here to try new things in our classrooms, and when she sees something great, she has us present at school committee. So, thanks. And there's so much curiosity when we walk down the halls. Everyone's asking about it. People are seeing the things that our kids are doing. We would love to see the growth through the grade. So not just at 4th grade, but there's tons of projects to go around, and a lot of projects are thought of by the kids, developed by the kids, and we just kind of supply the things that can make it happen. And then, the kids, I feel like, will be more active in our community, but also other communities, and reaching out and being more worldly students too. So, last one is short. This is one of my students from last year who really wanted to be on it, so I said, why not?
Hi, I'm Ryan Larry. I'm in 5th grade this year. I like Be True because it helps me be able to experience helping other people. And this is one of my cards I made for someone last year. And it really makes me feel better when I get to do Be True.
And they're also serious when they're like, I'm ready to do this. And then they got serious. All right, so last slide, I promise. And it's just kind of Ms. Donald and our students and Mrs. Backlund's students, and just, the final slide. So that's our whole thing. Are we not me? So again, thanks Sean and everybody else who was an awesome supporter of this. Thanks.
All right, that is an awesome spotlight on excellence. That's a really cool thing that you guys have done. Any comments or questions from the committee?
Yeah, every time I come here, I'm impressed by what all of you collectively do in the school, and it definitely has. It has a unique feel to it. When you walk in the door, you can feel the energy in the school. But I'll let everybody else say stuff.
I love this. This is my first experience hearing about it. Just a little side note, my 18-year-old, 6 foot tall senior still tells me when he sees his reading buddy from when he was a kindergartner or first grader in Marshfield, oh, I saw him and he said hi, you know, and that still feels special. So it goes beyond, you know, elementary school. I don't know, this has so many components that I absolutely love. I'm a therapist by day, and this kind of stuff is what builds core coping. I love that it's simple, although I think that doesn't tell the whole story because I know there's a lot of work behind it. But it's easy. Every kid can do it. You know, you're working it into the already busy day, which is awesome. I think I love the connections with other schools, with the community, but it's just amazing. So good job. I love it. Let me know how I can help.
I know you have
Get some stickers.
Yes.
I think this was planned.
That's for you. Yeah.
Oh, I like that one. You guys know how I feel about you. I love Governor Winslow. I went to elementary school here. It is my favorite school. I'm not supposed to say that, but I say it every time anyways. It's definitely my favorite school. But you guys do a really, really great job. And I did have the pleasure of coming to visit the kids. That was last year. And I recognized the student at the end from being in your class last year. And when I went in, he was so excited to talk to me. And I remember they were working on their cards when I went in. And I was laughing with Karen and Mark because I couldn't believe how funny they were. I was like, I never would have thought of that. So, you know, it's creative. It's just like, it's so many things. It's art, it's creativity, it's writing, it's being nice, it's awesome. I love it. So thank you to you for sharing this with our community. And thank you to you guys for, you know, seeing it through. I know there's a lot of good ideas out there, and, you know, you can have a million meetings and talk about things you're going to do, but to actually have something and then, you know, put it in motion is a whole different story. So thank you so much.
And I'll jump in and say too that, you know, all incredibly well said. I agree with everything that was said. One of the major pillars of our district's improvement plan is teaching kids how to be contributing members of society, you know, and bringing in the community to what we do in the schools. And I think this really accomplishes that. It goes way beyond the classroom and brings that community service element to the school community. And at the same time, this is so beyond your job description, and the fact that you folks sign up to do this, and I know how much time it must take, and just the effort that goes into it is so appreciated, and I'm so glad you chose this as the spotlight today, because I didn't know much about it at all, but now I do, and I can tell everybody else that I run into in town about the great things that are happening here at Governor Winslow. Anything to add, Mr. Graham?
Just, it's kind of coming full circle, and I'm not trying to get nostalgic here as we get closer to the end of the year, but I remember a couple years ago when we really had focused on, you know, social emotional learning and all the different techniques that are out there and strategies, and I remember people talking about, is there a playbook? Is there some way you can kind of encapsulate what SEL means? And there's no one way to describe it, but this activity really hits it on so many different levels, and again, without having to teach them about SEL, they are learning about SEL, and they're helping themselves, and they're helping others, and, you know, they're helping staff feel good about themselves as well. So it's a home run across the board. I really do love the connection with the schools in Boston. I was not aware of that. Welcome. Thank you so much for your help.
His
doing
son
that.
used to go to Governor Winslow.
Come full circle.
Excellent. Thank you for doing that, because that's really important for our kids to learn about what's going on outside of our wonderful community here. So thank you for doing that. But A++, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Did you want to take a picture of us holding up our rocks?
Absolutely.
For your kids?
And just one other thing about what you
I'll
said,
get you a
and I
rock.
don't know if I can interrupt, but
Yeah.
Too late.
I
He
have,
doesn't care.
It's fine.
well, I have to mention my son Jackson, because he's not watching, but I'll tell him about it later. But like, he reaps the benefits too, because my kid, he has a collection of rocks and bookmarks and cards and everything else you could ever imagine, and it all comes from my students. And when he gets these things, he's like, who made this? And he knows all these people because he comes in a lot, but he knows my kids' names. You know, he gives them things back. Like, for me to have my son be so inspired by my students is like the best thing, because he, like, I love my students and I would love for him to grow up just as thoughtful and kind as these kids are too. So needed to say that one day. Sorry. All right. Now.
Mr. Talachi is a quiet leader. The passion by which you're hearing him speak tonight is highly, it just tells you how much this means to him and our fourth grade team. I mean, he really has spoken from the heart, and it shows in the work that they're doing as well. So, picture, you guys get in there too.
Don't have the rock.
You can't keep that one around.
Are we doing rocks or cards?
Come over. You guys come over. We'll get together. We'll snuggle.
Plenty of room here.
We all like each other, right?
Pretty good, yeah.
I showered once this week.
Wasn't today.
Doing left hand rock?
Pretty cool. You get a chance to read them.
I love them.
Yeah, the puns are just.
It's
a nice level.
I know they do.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work.
So which
Oh,
which
yeah.
The Richard J. Murphy of Dorchester.
Yeah, we're
It's right across the street from the Boston Bowl,
Okay.
Lambert's.
Oh, so you-
Yeah, BC High. That's our neighborhood.
Thank you.
I just wanted to call her.
Great to see you. I'm doing super. Thanks for having me.
So you on Freeport?
Oh,
It's off Freeport. It's on Pope's Hill.
We're going to move on with our agenda. I'm going to take our student representatives, and then I'm going to take Dr. Mincello out of order on the agenda. So we'll take our student representatives first. You guys can stay right there if you'd like to. It's up to you.
Or you can stand up.
Alright, so first off, I'll start with the elementary schools. So we have Daniel Webster. This Friday they're having a St. Patrick's Day Spirit Day wearing green and gold. And then Ainsley, last week they had their finale of Read Across America Spirit Week. And they also have a St. Patrick's Spirit Day this Friday. In Governor Winslow, they'll have their pizza bingo night this Thursday. And last week they also had their Read Across America Spirit Week. Martinson, last week, the second graders went to the Animal Adventures Enrichment Program where they found and learned about the diverse animals in the world. And then they also have their talent show coming up this Friday, so they have rehearsal tomorrow. And then South River, they're also celebrating St. Patrick's Day with wearing green, and then their annual Student Council Lucky Gram sale this Friday.
For the middle school, the Spread the Word to End the Word campaign started this week, and they had a whole presentation on that. Mrs. Silva was recognized as the Educator of the Week. This past Thursday, Furnaceburg held an incoming 5th grader presentation, and the after-school enrichment program has been thriving under Mrs. Division. For the high school, the annual MEF 5K will be held this Saturday. The Marshfield boys varsity hockey team sadly lost in the Elite 8 during a shootout, and the girls varsity hockey team sadly lost in their Final Four game. The DECA program competed in Boston for the state conference this past week, and multiple people qualified for nationals. The Theatrical Society's play Queens made it to the semi-finale in the METG Festival competition, and our very own Student Council earned the 2023 to 2024 Golden Excellence Award and recognized as a 5-star council at the MASC Spring Conference.
There's a lot of incredible things clearly happening across the district. So many great accomplishments at Marshfield High School that you just read off, but I just want to say, I know you're on the girls' hockey team. Captain. Congratulations. Seriously, very proud of you guys. It's awesome.
I was there on Sunday night, as was Pizerski, and I'm sure many others, and it was just so great to see the whole town was there. I mean, it was just packed. And my favorite part was seeing some of the junior Rams, the girls who I see a lot around when I'm going around high school, elementary schools, and they had their jerseys on and stuff. And they were just in awe of you guys. You were like heroes to them. It's really special to see. So thank you for all you do on the ice and in the classroom and being role models for the other ones. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys know the drill. You don't have to stay.
Thanks.
I'm going to take some things out of order. We're going to push the meeting minutes to the end. Ms. Pizerski, thank you. We're going to take out-of-state travel. We have an out-of-state travel request first, and we're going to recognize Mr. Granatino, who will then turn it over to Dr. Minchello, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I just, real briefly, that we have our wonderful, wonderful internship program starting this coming month, next month. And each year it just grows by leaps and bounds, and there's so many people that make it so special. But the folks that are running it have a few new opportunities for some of our students who are working with organizations, companies that have to do some things out of state, and they're actually bringing them as part of their internship program, so they can get a neat experience, get the whole picture of what that company, I'm not even sure what the company is, but you'll have a chance to explain it, Doc, for us, and let us know what we need to do, and there will be out-of-state travel for some of these kids, so they will need permission from the committee. So, turn it over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for taking me out of order so I can get up to the high school.
Of course.
I am seeking approval for an exceptional learning opportunity for 2 of our students who are going to be participating in the internship program. The first student is Maddie O'Brien, and the second one is Hannah McLaughlin. Both of these students will be leaving on April 1st to start their internship, so pretty quickly. And they have been offered the chance to travel out of state with their internship host as part of their hands-on learning experience, which is wonderful. The first student, Maddie O'Brien, will be interning at Gristmill Farms, which is a hunter jump barn. So she rides and jumps, and she's going to be working as a working student. And she has the opportunity to travel to Saugerties, New York, May 14th through the 19th for the Greater Boston Charity Horse Show. And the purpose for her to go and to partake is to be a working student at the horse show competition. Maddie will be responsible for grooming and tacking, handling all the horses, assisting with warm-ups, managing equipment and supplies, supporting riders, observing, learning, and really learning the coaching aspect as a working student for those that are competing in the show. Hannah McLaughlin will be interning at Turning Point Communications with Laurel Egan. Kenny Egan, we love Laurel. She's taken many hosts over the years, many students. Laurel has 2 opportunities to present for me to present to you. It will come down to the financial aspect. She would like to take Hannah either to Houston, Texas, or Baltimore, Maryland, April 14th through the 16th, or the 23rd to the 24th. She would like Hannah to go so Hannah can be engaged in building relationships, supporting Laurel with her presentations and her work, helping with brand events, speech writing, event management, and this really aligns with the career that Hannah is going to be pursuing. So she'll be attending PC in the fall for marketing and communications. And so both hosts have generously offered to cover all the costs associated for our students for their trip. That includes travel, accommodations, meals, and any fees related to them participating in any activities or events during the evening. So the students won't incur any costs of their own. And so hopefully this will allow them to focus on the educational aspects of their experience and being there. I think this is a great opportunity for our students to get out, not only to get real world experience, but also to experience what it's like to travel and represent a company and a brand itself. So I think it's great, and so I would love for you to give her a few minutes of thought and see if this would be acceptable for the girls to head out for a few days off with their hosts. And I have much more detail on each trip if you need any further information.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
a ton
Mr.
of questions because I haven't seen anything on this yet.
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
So how old are the students?
They're both 18.
They're both 18. Okay.
That answers every question.
18 of them.
If they're under 18, I have a ton of questions.
Any other questions? Any comments?
For those of you guys that do not know, our internship hosts all go through Corey background checks, so they'll be in good and safe hands.
Awesome. Any questions, comments? Okay, so I know you said there was one student who it was one trip or the other.
Yes.
Just for swift purposes, we'll just approve both.
Okay.
So she can go in whichever one Laura wants to
Sure,
take.
and I can always follow up with the particular trip that she's going with and those details if you guys would like.
Yeah, if you want to just shoot us an
Sure.
informational update, that would be awesome.
Yes.
So thank you. Is there a motion to approve the trips as presented?
So moved.
So moved from Mr. Greer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Argan. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, 400.
I just want to say this is a great opportunity that you're presenting
Yeah.
these two students.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to do our MEA update next. We'll recognize MEA President and future Governor Winslow parent, Mr. Rain.
Oh, past and future.
Past and
Past and future.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Don't know me. My name is Ben Raymond. I'm president of the Marshfield Education Association. Proud English teacher and parent, and I want to say how happy I am to be back at Governor Winslow. First time I was here was for Pizza Bingo. My daughter Alexa Darcy won, and at that moment she knew I was made in the shade at that time. So I'm just really happy to be here and be with you. You guys are my heroes as a parent. Thank you so much. Mr. Costello, members of the Marshfield School Committee, I hope you are well. As always, thank you for granting the MEA time on today's agenda. Tonight, I am particularly thrilled to highlight the devoted work of Luke Bacon, head custodian here at the Governor Winslow School. So far as I know, there's no cake or anything, but like, you deserve
Clara
it.
and Ellen have been patient and beautiful.
Nice job, guys.
Mr. Bacon was nominated by Governor Winslow building representative and third grade teacher to the stars, Beth Sombronsky. Of Luke, Ms. Sombronsky writes, our Governor Winslow School family would like to honor Luke Bacon, our head custodian, for the above and beyond recognition. Since Luke's arrival to Governor Winslow School in October of 2022, he has gone above and beyond the job of head custodian. If he learns of a problem, he finds a way to solve it. For example, our food drive boxes and old cardboard sleigh were falling apart and looked, and I quote, terrible. Luke built a custom, handcrafted wooden sleigh for our food drive on his own time and with his own supplies. Luke volunteers his time for the MEF road race to help deliver all the tables, chairs, trash barrels, and anything else that's needed for the race. He stays at the school to direct traffic that parks at Governor Winslow for the race. Luke even lent his foot to be traced for a second grade math lesson, measuring the distance from the classroom to the front office. He proudly watched as the student measured his 12-inch foot. Luke has helped us in so many ways by finding missing keys, helping a broken down delivery food truck, fixing a child's glasses, starring in the 5th grade versus teachers volleyball tournament. He even whitewashed every brick in our lobby to brighten things up in our 53-year-old building. These are just a few of the many examples of how helpful Luke is to our Governor Winslow School community. As Dombrowski continues, we believe that Luke Bacon takes his job very seriously and goes above and beyond our expectations, and this month we would like to honor him. Thank you, Luke, for all you do for the students, staff, and families at Governor Winslow School. Luke is essential. His colleagues and the custodial staff across our district are essential. No learning takes place in our classrooms if its facilities are not clean, functional, given meticulous care and attention by custodians like Mr. Bacon. They look after our kids. They keep them healthy and safe. His work is emblematic of the devoted work of all staff, faculty, and administrators who work together to make Marshfield a singular community for student learning. Congratulations, Mr. Bacon.
I do want to say thank you very much to Mrs. Hubbard. I think she gets joy of doing things like this to me. She had me singing on stage last week.
Taylor
so,
Swift,
Nice.
So I don't know. Hopefully she doesn't try to top this anytime soon. But I really am not prepared for this as far as my attire and mentally, but I can, from the bottom of my heart, I can't even look at her.
Mom and Dad, congratulations.
Now we can embarrass you more, Luke.
Yeah.
Take your kids.
Get up, Lou. Let's go.
We'll go around there for a picture.
Yep.
You too, we're gonna take a picture.
Mr. Raymond, get in.
Candy, you get candy. Come in.
The whole crew up here. Come on.
You do too, you're right for you.
A little different.
Mom and Dad bacon.
That was nice.
Your family went quicker than I usually walk too. There's so much.
Very keeps on.
Yeah. Just let it.
Oh, really?
I did ask that. Oh, your son went here. All right, go on over You're in the middle.
Yeah, come on over. Thank you guys. Yeah, right here. Yep.
Where to go?
Oh, over here.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Come on
Mrs.
over,
Pazuski's.
yeah.
She's our boss.
Yeah. Is-
All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Beautiful.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Look at this.
I know.
I'm talking.
Seriously.
Good thing we didn't need any of it, but.
After I ship back and catch you at some.
You say that to the parties.
Okay.
Oh, you did? Oh, I was eating them. Yeah, it's awesome.
Totally agree.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Mr. Raymond, thank you. I
love that.
love that you do this. Yep.
They wrote it up.
And I love that they're doing it. I love that you're getting nominations. It's really awesome.
Thank you, sir.
It's good timing too. And I remember Mrs. Hubbard and Miss Brait will remember when we came for the superintendent tours. We were around here and you talked to us about how great Mr. Bacon's been. And
It's good.
it's more than a school to him. You know.
Addition to the family.
Yep. Okay, awesome. Like I said, we're going to move the informational to the very end. We've reached the point of a meeting for public participation. If there's a member of the public who wishes to address the committee, now is your time to come forward and do so. Seeing none. Should we just go in order? Yeah. We'll just go in order of the agenda. We'll take the superintendent transition process is next. Very happy to share with folks that we have signed the contract with Dr. Patrick Sullivan. You can come on up here. He's with us tonight.
Hi, everyone.
I'll actually turn it on over to you, Dr. Sullivan, to introduce yourself to the committee. You know us all.
Sure,
but anything
yes,
you want to say,
I'll
please?
sit, not to be rude to you, but, so as you all know, I'm Pat Sullivan, and could not be more happy and humbled to be the next superintendent in Marshfield. And, I know I've big shoes to fill and wonderful people to work with. I'm really happy to be here at Governor Winslow, my former elementary school.
Nice.
We were talking today in Cohasset, where I am now, about Epstein's family engagement. Joyce Epstein wrote a book about family engagement, and one of the key factors is family-like schools to really engaging families. And I couldn't help, every time I hear family-like schools, I think of Principal Hubbard and what she's done here. And you can really feel it, Ms. Scargan talked about it setting the core for coping, but it also, she also mentioned that her son remembered having a reading buddy here. So activities like that set the core for everything, and that's why Governor Winslow feels so warm, and that's a tribute to Mrs. Hubbard. And I also just quickly want to say, Mr. Bacon was Luke was a student of mine in my, I think, second year teaching. And of course I knew Carolyn too, so it was heartwarming to see that happening. So I'm very excited, and I met with Sean recently, and I also had a chance to meet Laura, and I'm meeting with Lauren, and hopefully Rich and Kendra as we move forward, and Joni. And I did meet with Amy and Jeff and Ellen and Tom, so I'm starting to make the rounds just to get my sort of feet wet and what's all the great things happening in Marshfield, and I'm going to be meeting with them this week. And then I'll kind of stretch that out, and hopefully with some guidance from Superintendent Granatino, I'll get to meet with families more formally, certainly PTO and MEF and just a whole slew of staff members in formal ways when it's appropriate to do so. So it's a lot to do, and every moment I'm getting more excited. So it's really, really thrilled to be here, and I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for me and for my family to have this opportunity. So it's nice to formally be able to say that.
Well, welcome, and I know these folks might want to say something as well, but I just want to say how much I appreciate the effort you're putting into your transition. You've got months to go, and here you are hitting the ground running, speaking with people, making sure that you're meeting with we have a phenomenal team here, and you've done your due diligence to sit down with them.
Starting.
Yep, and it's great. It's exactly what we hoped the
Thank
incoming superintendent would do, so we appreciate that. And I appreciated our conversation last week. I know you've got a lot of great plans in the months ahead. I also appreciate knowing that you want to be at events when you can be in Marshfield,
Yes.
knowing that you want to be visible. Take a page out of this guy's book here and make sure that people see.
I'm not sure I'll be able to do that well, but I'll do my best.
Smoke and mirrors.
I certainly will be. I'm excited to be at the road race this weekend.
Yes, that'll be a fun time. Yep. So, anybody else have any questions, comments on our superintendent transition process, Mr. Greer?
No, just welcome. It's good. It's good to see you come back. I think before you, as you were leaving, we were talking about it. Someday, I hope to see you back.
Yeah.
You are.
So, that's right.
No, it's good. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
I think there's a common thread in people that I talk to is so sad to see Superintendent Grantino go, and so looking forward to seeing you arrive. So I don't think you could have a better situation than that if you have to have it. So
No, it's great. It's nice to follow one of my mentors too. So it's nice.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, welcome.
I agree. Look at, I'm going last for like the first time ever. I agree with what everyone said. We had a great meeting. It's great to see you. I'm happy you're here.
Thank you.
For a long time, I couldn't picture anyone that I thought I would like as much as I like Jeff. So you're on your way.
I don't know. I'd be happy if anybody likes me. But,
no, seriously, thank you.
I appreciate that.
And I want
You're
to say,
welcome.
I want to say too, Lauren hit on it perfectly. We're hearing around the community a lot that people are excited, and I think it says a lot about the work that you've done here previously, the success you've had in Cohasset, and it also says a lot about, like I said, the team that we have. People are excited that you're going to be a contributing part of this team, and that you're coming in with awesome principals, like the dean of our principals is Mrs. Hubbard. We've got a really great leadership core in place here in Marshfield, and that's exciting for us. We put our names before the residents of town to say we want to work with this group of people who get paid full time to do this stuff, and it makes our jobs easier and more fun when we know that there's a great team in place and that we're going to have a great leader following a great leader. So.
Thank you. Well, it feels very comfortable here, but I do recognize the importance of doing a lot of listening and a lot of reestablishing relationships in a different role. And I also recognize that Superintendent Grantino is in charge till June 30th, but I am
negotiable.
But I do.
Joni's in charge.
Well, of course, but I do have my ears open, and I'm excited to do a lot of listening in the next few months. And I'll continue to listen.
Yeah.
This is the next 3 months to start.
Right. Yeah.
Just one word of advice: do not drive down Plymouth Road around 10 o'clock on Saturday. Go back 9 years after I'd been hired, and I was going to come to the first event, and they come down the road race. So I kind of knew Marshfield, I didn't know all the roads, so I'm like, I'll just drive down. The road race is going on over there, so I'll come down Plymouth Road, no biggie. I get about halfway down, and the road race comes storming over the hill, and I literally had to pull over to the side of the road as 3,000 people jogged by, and I just jumped out of the car, and maybe that's where I got my first inclination to get out and be more social maybe than some superintendents. And I just stood by my car and said hi to everyone when they ran by, and hey, this is the superintendent. I just drove down the wrong road.
That's good. I'll watch my step on the seawall.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thank you. If there's no more questions, that'll wrap up that agenda item, but we're very excited.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
with us
And
tonight.
I appreciate the warm welcome. It's very, very kind.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to do the MHS summer reading overview next, and I'll first turn it over to you, Mr. Grantino.
And I will turn it over to Dr. Martin.
And I'm going to turn it over.
Okay, there we go.
Ms. Wakefield.
Ms. Wakefield will do it for us.
She just wanted to give the committee an update on summer reading for the high school. They made a few shifts. They've changed a lot over the years, so I'm just gonna put up, do you want me to put up the list?
If you want, we can start with that. And so we initially, and when I first got to Marshfield about 10 years ago, we were doing the summer reading. We all did. Everyone read the one book Labor Day weekend and came in and took a test in September. And we quickly learned that that's not really an effective use of our students' time, right, as well as our teachers' time, and a lot of our students started the year off not so well. And so in 2017, we implemented some new choices, and again, because a lot of it, as you know, our students do better when they have the opportunity to choose, and that give them a little bit of more power. And again, it was a much more successful program, but our assignments were geared towards certain grades. And so now, and then we made a little bit of a shift due to COVID. We no longer had summer reading as a requirement for our level 1, our college prep students, level 1 and level 2. And this past summer, we had 21 students participate in the extra credit. But 214 of the students in honors and AP courses fulfilled their obligation. So clearly, when it's an obligation or a requirement, students will rise to the occasion and complete it. And so this year, again, and this is nothing new, we recognize that students need the accountability as well as an incentive for that. And so what we ended up doing was, in terms of our assignment, we took more of like a UDL approach that we've been learning the past few months or the past couple of years, and allowed it to avoid like the gotchas of everything. And so there's 4 choices now for students. They can journal with certain prompts that we ask of them. There's a 1-pager, so those who are creative, but there are some parameters within the assignment with certain quotes and certain characters and so on. Oh, sorry, I didn't. And then the same idea, we're providing examples to our students. There are a book talk, and that's where students, because again, that's the current trend that we're seeing, is using forms of social media, and so we'll use Flipgrid. It's called something else now. It's been changed over since Google took it over, but the same idea of having them record something using like a slideshow that way and talking about it. And then our last part are postcards, in which they'll write about significant moments within the story itself. And so they're able to make more self-text connections, or if they prefer to draw, or if they prefer more of the academic approach, they can journal, or if they're really into technology, and again, most of our students are on TikTok a lot, and so again, modeling some of the things that they're seeing. But all in all, like I said, just giving them the idea of choice. That's our intent for this entire thing. And so not just are we adding additional assignments to our students, we're also providing a selection of books. And so 9 through 12 is thematic. So 9th grade, the only significant change was we added Enrique's Journey, which is a nonfiction memoir. Most of the other choices are fiction, historical fiction, or poetry. The other choices we've used in the past, and we've had success with that grade level.
I have to say my favorite book is on there, Book Thief.
Oh, yeah. My favorite book's on there is The Alchemist. That's my favorite book. I love that. There we go, Dr. Martin. Not bad.
Well, we're also trying to, again, to get gear students more interest. We're saying, like, we could say, like, Dr. Martin recommends The Book Thief. Mr. Costello recommends...
I don't know if I can do TikTok.
Yes, you could.
I'll get the kids to teach you, because I don't know how to do it either. So. And then the rest of our choices, they've been on the list for 6 or 7 years now. And then for sophomore year, that theme is moral choice. And we did keep some of it, but again, because I'll probably be back here again next year, we're working to add more current titles to this as well. And so we added Educated, a nonfiction memoir, Ender's Game, science fiction, and then we added the second, Mouse is a graphic novel, and we just added the second book to that collection. And so again, gearing a little bit more, because before we just had historical fiction. And then our junior year is more about the American experiences and values. And most of the list we kept in, again, because we're hoping to use this summer to read and preview more current novels and more contemporary as well. And so we added One of Us is Lying for a lighter fiction for some of our students, as well as The Boys of Winter for a sports memoir. We're a hockey town, so I think, and that was actually, some of these, that was recommended by students as well, those last 2 books. And so we've taken account, before I get to the seniors, we had help from Tori at the Ventress Library, the Teen Services Librarian, Kelly Newell at MHS, teachers at MHS as well, not just within the English department, but we surveyed our community as well. And we heard from some people, some it just didn't work for the thematic aspect that we're going for. And then we also talked with a lot of our students as well. And then finally, our seniors, we created a completely new list. That's why it's yellow, just to show you the differences. Because in our senior year, we have selectives. So we have Meaning of Life, Mystery, Suspense, and True Crime, a film course, as well as professional communications. And so we tried to gear that. And again, if a student is signed up for the Mystery and Suspense course, they don't have to read the Stephen King novel. It's just if that's what they're interested in, as part of the reason why we have that. And so we added a few more: a thriller, 2 sports biographies, as well as a dystopian novel. Because we worked together as a department vetting these books as well as creating these assignments, with again hoping to eliminate the idea of not reaching our students with books that they could be interested in. Most of these books are current, and some are what is old is new again as well. And again, with that, and our approach is to see how it works this summer. We'll survey our students in the fall to ask them about the assignment, as well as some of the book choices if they fit for their grade level as well. So that's all I have for now. So thank you.
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, quick question. You had mentioned vetting, right? What was the criteria for vetting these books?
We went through, some of us read them as a department, and then we went through to look for suggestions of content, violence, mature language, and so forth. We also have a document that we've used in the past as well, just to kind of vet our sources, but that's also part of the reason we have choice. If a parent or a caregiver, as well as their student, doesn't think a choice is for them, they have 4 or 5 other alternatives for that list. Okay. But they've been vetted within our department, in our community.
And the middle school has been working with the high school too, to make sure that the content warnings are there for parents, so that they are aware of what's in the book.
And the reason I ask is that in years past, I mean, I have a gazillion kids, right? So, some of these books I haven't, even though they were approved by the state, I haven't necessarily considered them age appropriate.
Speak is tough.
Was it?
The Speak one is a little tough. I think you maybe get a little pushback on that from incoming freshman parents.
Yeah, and then, we have had, I guess, conversations about certain reading materials in the past. I just want to avoid that in the future.
But again, I think I like that you have options.
Yeah, that's what we do with the content warning as well.
Yep.
And my intent is to send it down to Sarah at the middle school as well, so she can inform, the 8th grade can inform the incoming 9th grade.
Nice.
And then our team at the high school level will also kind of ebb and flow a little bit to see what is best for certain students that might need that warning.
There's been a lot more interaction between the high school, Miss Wakefield, and Miss Alberico down the middle school, and kind of learning from the things that they've done at each level. High school can learn from the middle can learn from the high school, and I think the way they're vetting the books out down there is more in line with how you guys are doing it at the high school. So I have utmost confidence in you folks and a great job at this.
Absolutely.
We try to be as conservative as we can, but we also, again, don't want to censor some of the material.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a tough job.
And I would just like to note that I worry about boys and reading, especially as they get older, and I've brought it up before and talked to Ms. Raymond about it. So I think the variety here is really great, and hopefully it gives anybody who has any interest, but in particular I think some of the newer titles that you added might appeal to some of the male population.
Thank you. That was our intent to find
more
boy books, but also
you did a nice job
meet
with
the
that.
needs of all.
Which is
No, I
difficult.
had a lot of good helpers. So.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Well,
you want my kids to read.
Yeah. Well, that When the Game Was Ours is actually another one of my favorite books. I love that book.
Feel free to email us any options you'd like to put on
It
for the
seems like a
future.
good variety.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Ms. Braid, I don't know if you have anything to add or if there's any other questions.
No, just thank you for your, thoughtfulness. It's obvious that you
We'll be
take it
back next year.
seriously, and
Intent to add more.
Yeah,
Nice.
thank you very much.
And we appreciate you keeping us updated on that too.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have a couple of easy items to get out of the way. The school committee meetings 2024 to 2025. This is a second read. We had it as a first read last time. I don't know if
There
anybody
was
had.
one tweak that was made, I believe, to the July meeting, so there wasn't in conflict with the summer conference for the superintendents.
Okay. Great.
And we talked about the conference schedule.
Yeah, so that's separate, so the high school, all the schools will have this, and then they build off of that.
Okay,
Right now, there shouldn't
okay.
be any conflicts
Okay.
from the existing schedule, but like, sometimes events come up during the year, whether it's music, whether it's drama, but
Right. No, I know we can't avoid them all, but.
This is settled now, and
Okay.
it'll go with everybody, so they can kind of steer clear of these 22 odd days or so that you get to come together.
Great. Any questions or comments on this?
Is the August date during the Marshfield Fair?
Marshfield Fair always starts the third Friday and runs
It
for
has
10
been in
days.
the past.
And it's okay, we get in and out, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have it at Ventures.
Oh, okay, it says it there now.
It says it.
Okay.
Oh,
does it? Do
Yeah.
So the fair this year will be on the 16th
Oh, okay.
and run through the
Oh, so it'll be over.
25th.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be over.
All right, so we're good to go.
I say, because we're starting later this year, so.
Okay.
I'm not surprised you know that date off the top of your head.
Well, I looked it up on the calendar.
Oh, okay, I was
It's
gonna
always
say.
the third Friday in August.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay, if there's no more questions, is there a motion to approve the school committee calendar for 2024 to 2025? So moved by Ms. Brady. Is there a second?
Second.
Second
No,
from
you
Ms.
can-
Dargan.
whatever.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, 400. Thank you very much. Next up, oops, sorry, lost my agenda. Next up, we have the 2025 to 2026 academic calendar. This is the first read. Turn it on over to you, Mr. Granatino.
So not next year, not this coming year, but this is the year after, so we're way ahead of ourselves. And Ms. Gursky has worked hard with folks all around the district to try to put together a first draft here. Sorry. Hang on for a second. Again, this would be one that is starting after Labor Day. We're going to have about 3 or 4 years where we start after Labor Day based on the calendar for our contract negotiations from 2 years back, so we'll be coming in. Teachers coming back on the 2nd of September after Labor Day. Students opening on the 3rd, kindergarten on the 4th, and it doesn't say here, but most likely preschool will start either that 5th or 9th. We don't have that slate. We kind of work that out with Ms. Coots. If all goes well, we're wrapping up the school year on June 17th. That's 180 days. Obviously, there could be a couple snow days. That Juneteenth may come into play there. Again, it's a holiday that we would recognize. We haven't hit it with students in place, but it may happen if there were any weather-related items. If Dr. Sullivan, was easy with the snow days, kids stay home. We might be bumping into that. So other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Can't recall anything out of the ordinary there, Joni.
Any
But
questions?
it's the first time, so we can have
I
some
mean-
time to.
Yeah, this will just be a first read tonight.
Do we need it as a first read or can we just vote on it?
Yeah, we typically just have it as a first read, especially where it's not urgent.
Right, and just quadruple check to make sure that there's not something that we're in conflict with that.
Right.
Yeah, put that in there.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. All right. I think we have our last item,
Yes.
the Student Opportunity Act, and I'll turn it on over to you, Dr. Martin.
Did not save the best for last.
It's fantabulous.
Alright. So I just have a brief PowerPoint to go over. Let's see. Actually, let me not open it on mine. Oh, that's all right. We'll just go over it this way. So I just have a little bit of background on the Student Opportunity Act. So this has been part of the Commonwealth's plan for several years. It just happens to be kind of the first year of another 3-year process that we just started. It really focuses in on making sure that every student has success every day. So kind of following our motto of every student, every day, whatever it takes. It looks at evidence-based programs and strategies, so it gives you a list. They give you a list of different topics, different focus areas, different strategies, different evidence-based programs that want to make sure that we are reaching the needs of mostly our marginalized students or our high needs students, which are English language learners, students with disabilities, low income students, making sure that we are improving and kind of closing the gaps on their learning and their experiences in our schools. So they do review all of the student opportunity plans every 3 years, and we have to provide annual updates every year based on data that we're seeing. And they are having us dive into the data much more deeply this time. Last time around, we got to do a short form if we were a certain school district that were under a certain level of funding. This year, it was just one big plan, I think, for everybody. We were not given any short form. So I'm just going to go over a quick summary of the proposed plan, some of the data, the subgroups that we're looking at, the targets, how we're getting input from families and caregivers, and then what programs we're looking at focusing on for the next 3 years. The thing that we want to keep in mind is the commissioner said several years ago when this all started was try and focus in on things that you are currently looking at doing, partially because we don't get a lot of funding here in Marshfield for this. So we want to make sure that we're targeting those student groups, but also looking at our practices that we're currently doing, our strategic plan, things that we have in place. So the summary of the plan, which is, they put it in different sections. You have to identify the student groups. So we are looking at our high needs students. So those are our low income students, our students with disabilities, and our students identified as English language learners. The evidence-based programs, there are, like I said, they give you a list. So the ones that we are going to propose are curriculum adoption, including multiple stakeholders in that process, supporting curriculum implementation, early literacy approaches, and early literacy screening. So a lot of this is going to be based on our elementary literacy programming, which has been a big focus area for us this year, knowing that we're going into a curriculum adoption. And then it wants us to identify what investments we're making and how much money that is going to cost us, basically, every year for these 3 years. So what is involved in meeting our targets and what is involved in those evidence-based programs. So for identification of our student groups, we looked at a lot of data. So MCAS ELA achievement, MCAS ELA growth. We looked at our iReady ELA scoring, which we started this year. Mike Rich, who is our data and assessment specialist, we have contracted with Open Architects to build a data dashboard. So we were really able to drill down into our attendance data and what our attendance looks like for those subgroups. And also observational data. We looked at that as well. We looked at any data that teachers are using in order to identify students for tiered supports at the elementary level. And then, as I said, the student groups are really going to be our high needs students. And the reason is that we are showing over periods of time that those gaps are not closing as quickly as we want them to. The gaps between their performance seems to be just as wide. The good news is they're growing at a similar pace, but when you start with a gap and you're growing at a similar pace, the gap is still there. Another positive is that in our vocal data, those subgroups did actually, some of their questions that they responded to, they actually felt almost better about the culture and felt supported in our schools. So those were kind of highlights of the positives of that data that we looked in. So then the 3-year targets, DESE really establishes your targets. You have to show them if you want other targets, but really they look at the targets and then they track them every year to see if we're making any progress towards those. So input from families and caregivers, other stakeholders, we have to describe our ongoing efforts as to what we're doing to get input and to communicate. So I just listed a bunch of things like providing communications to families in their native languages, collecting big feedback from surveys, whether it's the surveys that we're doing for this or through school councils, PTOs, everything. Our EL liaison assistants, translation services. We do review our Title I procedures and communications, especially when it comes to our low-income populations. And we have a review this year, so we also will be looking at that data. We're looking at developing ways to support families in continuing the learning beyond the school day. So, for example, we just looked at our kindergarten screening and how we can support families in providing them resource lists to work on prior to them even coming into kindergarten. So things like that, investigating family nights in literacy, similar to our math night, that was a big success, and on and on and on. So developing our SOA plan, what we will do is send out a survey of these kind of focus areas just to see if there's other input or if they see it as a moderate, high, or low priority on these different things. So I will be sending that out tomorrow. And then we have to confirm that we did consult with our stakeholders. We have to confirm at our next meeting, we will have to have approval by the school committee, and I have to send in that date that it was approved. So knock on wood, it will be approved. So again, select 1 to 3 focus areas. We have to talk about that. Our focus areas really talks about the literacy at elementary, as I said. So the curriculum adoption process, which we're going through, curriculum implementation, which will be next year and beyond. Comprehensive approach to literacy, which is our MTSS, supports all of those pieces, and our early literacy screening, which we are doing now, K, all the way up through 5, but really K-2 is the focus for dyslexia screening. And then additional questions about each of those evidence-based programs. So we just had to kind of go into detail a little bit more about what we're doing. The timeline is, this is the presentation in the first read. We'll collect survey data for the rest of this week. I'll analyze the survey data and revise it next week. And then the following week, we will have final approval before the school committee. And then I'll submit the following day. The deadline is April 1st. So we will make that deadline, thank goodness. So I don't know if you have any questions. I went over that really quickly, but if you have any questions about.
I have a question.
Yep.
On the input from families and caregivers and other stakeholders,
Yes.
the last bullet there on the top paragraph says, develop a clear process for how we will provide support when a student is identified through screening or diagnostic assessments. I'm assuming you mean you're continuing to make that better? That
Yes,
you already
we actually
have a
are
process?
starting to, we didn't really have a clear process because we just started dyslexia screening and communicating those results home to parents recently. So we want to make sure that when a student is identified as having reading concerns, that we have a clear process of what we're going through, how we're communicating to parents, where these students are getting support, who's supporting the students, and just making sure that every elementary school is kind of doing that same process and that we're communicating it out the same way. So not all students who are flagged for dyslexia are going to need specialized programming, but they will need support in order to improve. So we want to make sure that we have a process in place. Rather than saying this school is going to have a reading specialist service, this school is going to have an OG tutor, this school is going to have a special ed teacher, we want to make sure we're all doing it the same way. So we are in the middle of really developing that process and having a flow chart.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I do. Yeah, so you had mentioned funding for this.
Yes. Yes.
So is the expectation become an unfunded mandate?
I knew you were going to ask that question. So yes and no.
I've never asked a question like that in my life.
That's how we do it all.
Yes and no. So really, I think when it comes down to it, we get a little over $100,000 when it comes down to it for whatever we put in the SOA, which we know does not even put a dent in it. However, these are also best practices. So the curriculum adoption that we're doing is really, we need to do it. We have an outdated literacy program, it's old, it doesn't match the science. So even though we're funding it and it's going in the plan, it's something that we need to do regardless. The coaches that we have been instrumental in our literacy programming at elementary. So they're not mandated, but we know that coaching is best practice when it comes to helping support our teachers. So everything that's going in this plan, yes, is it in the plan? Yes, is the plan mandated? But it's also best practice so that we would be doing it regardless of having this plan, if that makes any sense.
Well, it does, yeah. My thought is that we, and it always has been, that we need to make every student successful. And that has different meaning for every student.
Yeah.
And I'm on board with always implementing best practices and improving on those best practices. The issue I have is when the state comes in and says you have to check a box and it's going to cost you X number of dollars and we're not going to pay you.
Yeah. And they're not saying that so much as making sure that we're meeting our targets. They gave us a lot of choices, but again, we're checking the box, yes, but we'd be checking that box for ourselves, I think, more so than checking it off for the state.
This is one of the few times where we get to check the box, and while the amount might not be what we would like to see, at least it's something coming from the state. And again, as Dr. Martin alluded to, we would be doing this anyways. We're doing it right now with the reading program, and we have an article in for Tom Mead to help us with the cost of that, whatever the program is that we bring forward. So this is one of those situations where a little bit does help, and it's not going to cover everything, but we knew we'd be doing that, just like you alluded to, Rich, as far as best practice anyways. But here we get a little assistance at least.
All right. Sorry, that opens up a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
So the article at town meeting, right, brings up the question of sustainability of future programs. If we have to go ask for money for like a one-shot thing, what is the future of all of these programs?
So every year it's a little bit different. So our math program that we adopted 2 years ago, we were lucky enough to get an entire grant that covered the cost. So DESE did provide funding at that point. They do have grants for other curriculum adoptions. However, if you tapped into it once, you're really on the bottom of the list. They are talking about possibly giving more grant funding, but they just have not identified that yet. So elementary especially, this program will last us hopefully 10 years. That's usually the lifespan. We do, however, have subscription costs and replenishment costs, but we would have that regardless of any program that we adopted. We would have that even if we stayed with our old Journeys program. We'd still have iReady. We'd still have different, I know. So there would still be cost regardless.
I guess, as she alluded to, Rich, it was a year before I got here, I think, when Journeys was brought forth, and I believe they probably needed to get a free cash article to help pay for that, and it was...
They did, we had, it was actually for the math program in 2011 that I believe it was moved on the floor of town meeting to get the money. Somebody stood up and moved that. So when I came on board, I remember getting a text from Dr. Borstel saying, oh, well, you have a math adoption, that's your first line of business. So it's happened before that we've gotten the money through town meeting. And it just so happens, like, when we do a program adoption here in Marshfield, especially for elementary, we want it K-5 and we want it all elementary schools. There are districts who piecemeal it. They either do a grade level at a time, or they might do some schools at a time, but we don't feel that's appropriate. We want to make sure that we're hitting all kids.
Yeah, and I do have a comment related to that, and I'm sorry to...
No, that's okay.
Every
that's
time
right.
I hear something, it brings up more questions, but...
I know.
So we're talking about adoption K through 5, right? But what is the continuity moving into 6 through 12?
That's a good
right,
question.
so why are we not looking at K through 12?
Yep. I think right now, the plan is K through 5, and then we will determine what that will have to look like. So for math, we actually did K to 8. However, a lot of the programs are K to 5 and then 6 through 12, so it just depends on what you're looking at. So math, even though elementary adopted Bridges, 6 through 8 adopted a lesser math because they felt that that was more appropriate for their kids. So the conversation in Marshfield for a number of years now is how to get that vertical piece. That's actually in our strategic plan, is how we're doing that vertically, and it's difficult work because we don't have K to 12 department heads. We don't even have 6 to 12 department heads. So trying to get the conversation between 5th and 6th and 8th and 9th, we did a good job of trying to do that in 8th and 9th this year with vertical alignment meetings. 5th to 6th has always been a little bit of a struggle. So that is something we need to do better at, to be honest.
Okay, and I'll take the rest of my questions offline because it gets kind of nitpicky, and the intent isn't to put you under the gun. I just need information, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll touch base with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Are the 2 programs that you're looking at for literacy right now,
Yep.
it's down to 2, right?
It is down to 2. We're field testing right now.
And they're both K through 5? Okay. And is it oversimplifying? I'm sort of understanding this as it's stuff that we do and are doing anyway, with maybe an exception on the communicating to families when their child's identified. But it seems like just another way to pack it up and send it to somebody.
I'm on video, but yes.
Okay.
But which is why Commissioner Riley 3 years ago said, do what you're already doing.
Yeah.
And include that in your plan. Plus, again, we don't get the funding that some of the large.
Yeah, some of these other communities are getting millions of dollars.
Right.
You fall in that middle range where you just have to qualify for those big dollars.
There are a lot of things that we have to put in reports about.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Comments.
Okay, so obviously this is a big undertaking. Thank you. If any of us have any questions, I'm sure we can reach out to you and discuss it in the next couple of weeks. But thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay. Let's move on to our minutes. We have, I see 2 sets of minutes, Ms. Pazarski, is that correct?
2 sets.
So the January 23rd meeting minutes. Mr. Greer, I'm assuming will abstain from this one.
Fine.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. And we will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 23rd, once folks have had a second to review again. Is there a motion on the floor?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, moved.
So moved from Mrs. Dargan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Brate. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstaining. That's 301 there, Ms. Pazarski.
Thank you.
And we have executive session meeting minutes from the 27th of February. We don't have the meeting minutes from this?
No.
Okay, no worries. And this would be a motion to approve and release the executive session meeting minutes from February 27th. Is there such a motion on the floor?
Is that there?
Is that?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yeah, my computer died.
So moved.
So moved from Ms. Brate. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Dargan. That's a roll call. Ms. Pazarski.
Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Ms. Dargan?
Yes.
Mrs. Bree?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes. Thank you very much. Well, folks, that wraps up our regular orders of business.
Reports?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, I was fine.
I mean, I'm just so I'm not used to moving from the end.
That's
I
okay.
am.
That's okay.
There's a time change.
Yeah. It is. Go ahead, Mr. Green.
I'm like the little kid who reminds the teacher that we didn't go over the homework.
Yeah.
But you're right. But you're right.
No, just I'll be real brief. Mr. Miller's not here, but I will, just from a budgetary standpoint, we have a meeting next Tuesday night, the 19th, with the advisory board, 6:30 to go over our FY25 budget. Again, we've had some challenges there, as we've talked about in previous meetings, and we've been working as a leadership team to identify some ways to help that process along a little bit. And so we'll talk with the advisory board, looking forward to meeting with them on Tuesday of next week. For your calendar people as well, like we sent out the invitations today for our Wall of Honor ceremony. That's going to be April 11th. Again, it seems that usually this would have been done back in the fall, but we got some people that, or in the winter, I should say, but we had some folks that were out of town, so we will be celebrating this year's honorees, Warren Seafrost, Lou Silva, and Dr. Susan Dupuy on the 11th at Haddad. Very excited about that. Ms. Brzezowski has been working hard and doing some of the behind-the-scenes planning there. Again, we talked about it earlier, just the teams in the organizations that it just seems like every week there's something going on, whether it's a hockey team, whether it's gymnastics specialists, whether it's our mock trial, whether it's student council getting more and more awards down at the state conference, or DECA getting a gazillion awards at their state meet as well. Marshfield students are doing special things on a daily basis. They do it in the classroom, they do it at all levels, but when you get the kids involved in clubs and activities and sports, they take it to another level. And it's just been really fun to watch this winter. It seems like we're just celebrating them all, and I'm not going to highlight one because I'll forget some of the others, but we have a lot of exceptional students who have done great things. I just want to congratulate them all for their efforts. And I will close just briefly here. Let me just make sure I'm not seeing anything. One highlight. Nope. I will just highlight a person to my right, two people over, who's been involved in a process, and I'll let her maybe just do a 2-minute Reader's Digest spiel on it. But Ms. Brait, Mr. Devaney, the Marshfield Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with the town, with the schools, with Northeastern, secured a $1 million grant that's going to go towards, in large part, towards the creation of what is being called Marshfield Coastal Academy, which is going to provide an opportunity for students out of high school, could be in their late teens, early 20s, who want to get hands-on education around areas that are impactful in Marshfield here, specifically marine engineering, civil engineering, and the impact that the waters around us have had on this wonderful town, and trying to solve some problems, teaching kids new information and skills, not only that can be used in college, but could be used in the workforce. And it's a really exciting time for people of Marshfield, and to secure a $1 million grant is just amazing. I wanted to highlight her efforts, and if you want to say a few things, Ms.
Sure,
Brait.
you just said, thank you so much. You just said a lot. You did, I liked that. Write that down. Because it's a lot. It's a mouthful when we talk about it, but that is true. Senator Warren and Senator Markey have been very supportive of our ideas, which just started around a table at one of our board meetings with my Chamber of Commerce friends. But it has morphed into something called the Atlantic Resiliency Innovation Institute, and we call it ARI for short. And ARI is going to oversee the Marshfield Coastal Hazard Lab and Marshfield Coastal Academy. So the Hazard Lab studies coastal hazard mitigation, which is flooding, and water events that happen all up and down, really, I mean internationally, but up and down the Atlantic coast. And I know specifically in Marshfield, where this idea stemmed from, that we want to help bring solutions to our own community and surrounding communities to make sure that Marshfield remains a healthy, vibrant community. We have a lot of businesses and a lot of residents that live right on the water, and we want to make sure that our water treatment plant, along with our residents and business owners, can keep their livelihood going, and we save Brant Rock along with other places. So that's the hope. The hope is that we're able to come up with solutions. Our science partners are from Northeastern University, and we have some really exciting things coming up. I could talk here for hours about it, but I don't want to bore you. But the other piece is the academy, and I will highlight, if you want to go home and read something else, the Gloucester Marine Genomics Institute that is up in Gloucester. Our model for our academy is after that. The staff there has been amazing in helping us not to recreate the wheel. And what they do is they have 2 cohorts per year of about 20 to 25 students that they take post-secondary up to around 30 years old, and they teach them all kinds of crazy things. We are focusing on engineering here in Marshfield because engineering is the #1 job in Massachusetts currently, and it is one of the highest paying jobs in Massachusetts. And for those of you that know me, I'm very passionate about giving students other alternatives than going to college for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, whatnot. But this isn't just for people that don't go to college. It's creating pathways for students to have an on and off ramp, essentially, that fits in with their life and their goals, and giving them an opportunity to get more training either before or after they go to college, and maybe they don't want to, and that's okay too. So we just want to provide great skills. We all know it's very expensive to live in Massachusetts, and we want to continue to create opportunities for people. So thank you for your time. I'm really excited about this. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to sharing all of our success with you guys.
That's awesome, and it's so layered just how many
It
areas
is,
of town
yes.
you're impacting there. It's incredible. It really is incredible, and it should be, to those of us who know you by now, it should be the least surprising thing in the world that you got $1 million from the federal government for this. It's incredible, unbelievable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin.
You heard my voice enough, but I will just put in a plug for the All Town Strings concert tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Marshfield High School.
Thank you, Mrs. Laura.
I do not have any updates.
There we go. I will ask very quickly if Ms. Dargan would like to say anything about any upcoming events with the boosters.
I love what the Boosters is doing, really focusing on student athlete mental health and mental well-being. So we had a presentation in the fall that went so well, still reverberating effects, and so now this is round 2 with a different presenter talking about resiliency, mental focus, and how that impacts all areas, like not just sports. So this speaker particularly wanted to invite parents to come. So hopefully I've been emailing and texting every coach and booster parent that I know to try to get the attendance in. So it's going to be next Tuesday at the auditorium at 6:30.
Awesome.
Yeah, and thanks to all of you who helped schedule, and it was not an easy task.
No, but you got it done.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and hopefully our coaches will encourage their students to go.
There's a great incentive. So we have there's 2 $500 prizes for the teams that have the highest percentage of their roster present, and then there'll be 3 door prizes, which we did last time, and it was a big hit.
Nice.
So
That's
really
great.
important just to show up.
Yep.
What ages is this appropriate
So
for?
we opened up to 8th graders through
Okay.
12th, but
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Really
Thank
excited.
you for doing that.
Hopefully this continues. I'm hoping
Yeah.
it's like a seasonal event, and we tied it this time with tryouts. So you're all at tryouts with spring athletes, and just go.
Yep.
Yeah. So good. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. Any subcommittee reports at this time?
Nothing.
Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved from Ms. Brake. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Dargan. That's a roll call there, Ms. Pazerski.
Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dargan?
Yes.
Mrs. Brate?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes. Thank you very much, folks.